Hello and welcome to another video. This video is about solving a system of equations, or what we call simultaneous equations. Now, we're used to solving linear equations simultaneously, but this case is different because what we have is not a set of linear equations, you have non-linear equations. How do you solve them? Well, there are two ways I would go about this. It's the same principle, it's just a question of do you want it to look linear or do you just want to go the crazy way? So we're going to do the linear way, and then I'm going to show you the second way, which is the crazy way. It's still the same basic thing you're doing, it's just that you're not doing any substitution, you're going live. Let's get into the video. So this is the first way. Look at this expression, 2 over x squared is the same thing as 2 times 1 over x squared. Okay, same thing, 5 times 1 over y squared. What if 1 over x squared and 1 over y squared are replaced by, say, letters m and n? So let's look at this. If I say, let m be equal to 1 over x squared, and I say let n be equal to 1 over y squared, then I can rewrite these two equations to look like this. 2m plus 5n equals 3, and here I'm going to have 3m minus 2n equals 1. Now this is what we are used to when it comes to solving systems of equations, and now you can go ahead and find what m is, find what n is, and go back here and solve for x. So let's just do that. What should I do here so that these two can be the same and I can eliminate maybe m or n? Well, I'd like to eliminate n because I can just add the two equations together. So to eliminate this, I'm going to multiply the first equation by 2 and multiply the second one by 5. So both of these will be 10, 10, and I can add. So let's do that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to multiply this equation by 2, and then I'm going to multiply this equation by 5. So that's going to give me these expressions. If I multiply this by 2, I'll get 4m plus 10n plus 10n equals 6, and this is going to be, if I multiply by 5, 15m minus 2n, that would be minus 10n equals by 5, that's 5. So look at this. If I add these two equations, I'm going to get rid of the n, and this gives me 19m equals 11. So I know that m is now equal to 11 over 19. Okay, 11 over 19. Okay, the first part is done. I can use the same principle to get what n is, and we just move on. Okay, similarly, or we can use, since we've gotten this to be 11 over 19, let's try and find what n will be using this equation. So 3m minus 2n equals 1. Let's put 11 over 19 for m, so that will be 3 into 11 over 19 minus 2n equals 1. And I have 33 over 19 minus 2n equals 1. Now I can bring this one here, take the 2n there, I have 33 over 19 minus 1 equals 2n. If I take care of this fraction, I'm going to make this 19 over 19. It's a good way so you have the same denominator. So if you simplify this fraction to be 33 minus 19, which is going to be minus 19 over 19 equals 2n. And what I have is 14 over 19 equals 2n, which gives me n will be 7 over 19. So we've been able to find what n and m are. Oh, excuse me. So now I know what m is and I know what n is, but that's not the purpose of this video. It is to actually find what x and y will be. So what do you think the solutions will be? Because we have a series of solutions because it's not linear. For linear, you only have one solution each. In this case, you'll be having 2 solutions each, and then you have to do a combination of those solutions, and we'll end up with 4 different combinations. Okay, so at this point, let's solve for m, or let's solve for x. So remember we said at the beginning that m is 1 over x squared. So we say 1 over x squared equals 11 over 19. Remember, if you want to get the reciprocal of this, which will be x squared, it will be the reciprocal of the other side. So we have x squared will be 19 over 11, and x will be plus or minus the square root of 19 over 11. So we come to the conclusion that x equals 19 over 11 over 11. Come on, 11 square root, or negative square root of 19 over 11. Those are the 2 possible answers. Okay, we do the same thing for n. You will notice that y, 1 over y squared, will be equal to n. If we apply the same principle here, we'll see that y will be, which is equal to, this is 7 over 19, If you do the same thing, we're going to flip this. It's going to be plus or minus square root of 19 over 7, okay, which means y will be equal to square root of 19 over 7 or negative square root of 19 over 7. So those are the two possible answers for y, two possible answers for x. So what are the solution sets? So remember, it is either x is this and y is this, or x is this and y is this, or x is this and y is this, x is this and y is this. So you're going to have 4 sets of solutions, okay? So the solution sets will be x equals square root of 19 over 11 and y equals square root of 19 over 7. Or it is x equals square root of 19 over 11 and y equals negative square root of 19 over 7. Or x equals negative square root of 19 over 11 and y equals square root of 19 over 7. Or x equals negative square root of 19 over 11 and y equals negative square root of 19 over 7. Those are the 4 possible solution sets that you could have. We'll get the same set of answers, but I just wanted to show you another way you could have done this without you doing the substitution. Let's do it. Now this is the second method. Remember I said it's basically the same thing you're doing, you're just going straight to the point, no substitution. And whenever you have any equation that contains a fraction, my usual advice is just get rid of the fractions. And you do that by multiplying each of the term by the lowest common denominator, or what we call the LCD or the LCM. Okay, now if you look at this, the LCD of this first equation will be x squared y squared. That's what you have. So if you multiply each term by x squared y squared, what you're going to end up having is you're going to have x squared y squared. If it multiplies this, look at this, x squared y squared times this x squared is going to cancel this and you have 2y squared. So you're going to have 2y squared as your first equation. And similarly, you do the same thing, x squared y squared times this. This is going to cancel this. You have plus 5x squared. And x squared y squared here is just going to give you 3x squared y squared. That's what you've got. Okay, you see we're not substituting. Now, if you do the same thing here, you're going to end up with 3y squared minus 2x squared equals x squared y squared. So what do we do next? Remember, you can't divide through. Nothing looks as if you can divide anything by anything. So what I strongly recommend is that you just solve it as if you're solving a system of equations. What would you do to get rid of this middle term? Because both of them have x squared, x squared. Well, the same exact thing we did before. You just, no substitution this time. All you have to do is multiply this equation by 2 and multiply this by 5. And you can choose to eliminate this, but I just want to eliminate the middle one, especially when you have 2 different signs. I like adding, no subtraction. Okay, so at this point, if I multiply this by 2, if I multiply this by 5, I'm going to end up with the similar thing that, similar to what we got before, 4y squared plus 10x squared equals, this is going to be 6, we're multiplying by 2, yeah, it's going to be 6x squared y squared. And if you multiply this by 5, you're going to have 15y squared minus 10x squared equals 5x squared y squared. So now we can add these two and eliminate the middle. We're going to have 19y squared is equal to 11x squared y squared. Let me write this down here because there's an explanation I need to make. 19y squared equals 11x squared y squared. Now, what I noticed that most people, well, not most people, some of you might want to do is, oh, I can just divide both sides by y squared. Yes, you can, and you shouldn't sometimes, but the reason we don't divide by variables, we don't divide by variables dividing both sides by y or y squared is because if y is 0, you can't divide by 0. Okay, so the only condition where you divide by 0 is if you're 100% certain that y cannot be 0. So let's go back to the question. Is it possible that y could be 0? From the original question, it's not possible. Okay, y is not, so we didn't write this as part of the problem. See, look at this, y cannot be 0, because if this was 0, this expression will be undefined, then you can have 1, and whatever you have here added to an undefined expression will still be undefined. So the fact that this is defined tells you that y cannot be 0, and therefore it's possible for you to divide both sides by y squared, because y cannot be 0. Okay, now in order to not start asking these questions, just don't divide, okay? Rewrite it this way, 19y squared minus 11x squared y squared equals 0. Factor out the y squared into 19 minus 11x squared will now be equal to 0. So you have two expressions, y squared equals 0, or 19 minus 11x squared equals 0. So here you have y equals 0. If you solve this, you're going to end up with x squared equals 19 over 11. Okay, and then which implies that, let's write it here, x equals plus or minus square root of 19 over 11. Now, this is the same answer we got from the other method that we did it. Now, can y be 0? Remember, you have to always go back and check whether your answers are valid. Can y be 0? No, y cannot be 0, just like we explained. So let's assume you did not know and you went ahead and you did what I did, which is the safer thing to do because you don't know if y is 0 or not. Then you just want to do that. Well, this is an invalid answer. Okay? This is invalid because y cannot be equal to 0. That's how you eliminate it. Okay? But this way, you don't have to worry about whether you need to divide both sides by the variable y or not. But now we've been able to isolate our x. And this is what you'll now use to go back and find what y is. And remember, we found what y is. Y is... if you go back again now and you substitute, we ended up with getting the answer that y equals plus or minus the square root of 19 over 7. I hope you learned something in this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Never stop learning. Those who stop learning have stopped living. Bye-bye.